Good evening, and welcome to Civic Hall. We're excited for you to be here tonight. My name is Mr. Cook. I'm the Performing Arts Manager of Civic Hall. Have a really cool job. Behind me is the beginning string ensemble, Orchestra, beginners. They'll be performing for you first this evening. Welcome to the Spring Orchestra Awards and Concert. You're going to be thoroughly entertained as some of the students are still coming in to get seated. While they're coming in, please notice located nearest your seat, the exits. If you came in and you're closest to the right, you would go out basically to the same lobby area that you came in through if we had an emergency. If you happen to be on the left side of the auditorium, up in the back and also in the mezzanine, you would find the nearest door and then go to your left. And then to the rear, once you get out in the hallway, and there's some steps that would take you up to door 8, which is then out onto the football field patio, and that would be the quickest way out of the building. It'd take you maybe 45 seconds. So it's pretty quick, easy access to get out. If you are in the balcony, the restrooms are to the rear. The men's would be to your right in the back, and the women's is on your left in the back. If you're down here in the lobby or in the orchestra and the mezzanine, the easiest way is to go to the lobby, the way you came in, and then the women's restroom is closest to the stage, so you would turn left if you go at those doors. And if you're going to the men's restroom, you turn right and then go around the corner. There's also a drinking fountain right around the corner out there. Drinking fountains in the balcony are also in the back in that corner to your right. So, it's good things to know in case you need to go to the restrooms. Appreciate you being here. We have all kinds of things going on at the end of the school year. A lot of you may be aware of that. We have all kinds of awards starting with tomorrow. We have career awards. And then on Thursday, we actually practice for honors and awards. And then Friday's honors and awards for seniors, for those of you parents that might not be aware that it's happening or that it's happening to Friday at 9:30. Next week, we also have adult graduation on Tuesday. And then on Thursday is Dennis' 8th grade graduation. So lots of crazy things, and it's busy here to the end of school. But I know that the kids are excited to get out, as well as some of the teachers. So we're happy you're here. Again, if you need anything, you can locate some of our ushers in the red vests, and they'll be able to help you, or they'll direct you to me. I'm out and about around during the performance. So thank you for being here. Sit back and relax and enjoy the orchestras tonight.
Good evening. My name is Ben Smith. I am the orchestra director at Test Intermediate. Thank you all for coming out tonight. It means a lot to see so many people out here to support what we're doing, and I know the students appreciate that too. We could not do what we do without all of you, parents, making the time to get your students here to the rehearsals and the concerts. You're the reason we're able to do this, so thank you. That first piece was one that the orchestra took to the Indiana State School Music Association contest back in March, and they earned a silver rating, and we're really proud of them for that. They took some really challenging music, and just to go to that contest as beginners is a big deal. So very proud of them for that. This next piece, we're going to change the mood up a little bit. This is a favorite of a lot of the students. This is Dragon Slayer. Before we move into this last piece of music for the beginners, I just want to take a moment to recognize some students who have worked really hard this year and honor them with some awards. It's always a really tough decision, narrowing it down to just a few people, because there are so many students that are so deserving of recognition. Most of these students knew little to nothing whenever they started this school year about playing in an ensemble or playing an orchestra instrument. We've got a lot of students who have progressed quite well this year, and we'd like to award 2 of them with the Most Improved Award. This year, the awards for Most Improved in Beginning Orchestra goes to Jude Sutherland and Kender Hyman. Congratulations. Can those students stay up here for a moment for pictures?
Yep.
Next, we will recognize the Most Outstanding Award. This award is given to the students, one from Test and one from Hibbard, who have stood above the rest in terms of musicianship, maturity, and skill on their instrument. Those students, when I call your name, come up, get your award, and we'll pause for pictures. It's with great pleasure to give this award to Yuritsa Godinez Reyes and Claire Barker. All right, we're going to play our last piece of the beginner orchestra portion of the concert. This is Conquest. Thank you. Give us just a moment. We're going to get the beginners off stage and get the intermediate orchestra on the stage.
heard people laughing over here. They think I'm short. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see you all for our final end-of-year concert. In front of you is a combined orchestra of our 7th and 8th graders from Hibbard and Dennis together. We are performing that first number and our last number from our festival selections. This first one was Burst. It's a great piece to open a concert with. And our next selection is a rather older piece of music from Hansel and Gretel, and it's called Evening Prayer, or as you say in German, Abendsegen. Bless you. All right, it is time for some awards here. In the intermediate orchestra, we have the, Sorry, let me start over. Being in orchestra is a privilege that takes time, effort, and commitment. These students have demonstrated the characteristics of a dedicated music school student, and by being here in Richmond Community Schools for 3 consecutive years. The following students have earned their 3-year medal. So we're going to read off several names. Please hold your applause until the very end. Students, when we call your name, please come stand up over here so we can get some lovely pictures. Okay? Peyton Miller, Sadie Penrod, Ronan Cross, Isis Kelly, Karen Cruz Herrera, Dylan Constable, Marissa Glover, Gradys Lopez Julian, Aisha Thomas, Zara Hazelbaker, Kelsey LaFuz, Luis Lopez Garcia, Xander Harick, Ishani Verma, Gabby Engstrom, Thomas Bellrider, Kamaya Nicholson, and Clayton Brim. Let's give them all a round of applause for 3 years of service. Our middle school students traveled to Indianapolis this past year to compete in the Indiana State School of Music Association Festival, and I will let you know we have our plaques here. The beginner orchestra has earned silver this year, and our intermediate orchestra, the group you see on stage, came out with a gold this year, so let's give them all a round of applause for that. Come on over on this side. We need pictures. Mom, Dad, Aunt, Uncle, Grandma, Grandpa, don't be shy. If you want a close-up, come on up. Let's get a good picture. Use your legs. There we go. Let's give another round of applause. With all these students that have shown so much growth on their instrument this past year, it's been hard to decide who has made the most tremendous growth over the course of a year. Some of the students have already such great talent, and others came in with lower than everyone else and have grown immensely this year, and we're super proud of them. As with the beginners, one of the members has been selected to receive the Most Improved in Intermediate Orchestra from each of our schools. This year, awards for Most Improved in Intermediate Orchestra goes to both Luis Lopez Garcia and Kendra Glover. We'd also like to take a moment and recognize one student from both Dennis and Hibbard who have proven to be outstanding in the area of orchestra this year. These students have not only done well on their instrument, but have consistently been at the top of the class in terms of ability and comprehension. It is with great pleasure to give these awards out to both Peyton Miller and Thomas Bellrider. Our final selection this evening is quite the fun mix-up. Sorry, not mix-up, mashup. We are taking a classical piece of music by Rossini called The Barber of Seville, and we are merging it together with John Williams' Jaws. So we present to you our final song this evening, The Sharks of Seville. We're going to hear from is our chamber orchestra, which is a part of our high school orchestra. High schoolers, would you please make your way to the wings? Chamber orchestra to the stage, please. That was a fun piece from the Disney movie Tangled called Kingdom Dance, and most of the work that was done on this piece was done on their own time. So this was truly an independent piece where I just kind of stepped in at the end to help make sure it was together. So kudos to these fine musicians. We're going to bring out the rest of our string orchestra members and then continue on with the high school part of our concert. Tonight, we take you back, way back in time, back to the Renaissance time period for our next piece of music. One of the most famous Renaissance composers is Antonio Vivaldi. And Vivaldi was known for writing a whole bunch of music, especially known for the Four Seasons. We're not playing that tonight. But we are going to be performing one of his famous violin concertos for two violins at the same time. And it's our pleasure tonight to be able to feature both of our seniors on violin, Evan Sanders and Urexi Rojas Cruz. Come on out, please. That was a very high and a very low piece of music. Our basses had to completely change the tuning on their instruments. We are now ready to bring on our Philharmonic Orchestra. And so go ahead. Oh, Mr. Simmons is getting them. Welcome to the Philharmonic part of our concert. It's such a privilege to be able to put together this kind of a program. Not every school has an orchestra program, and even fewer have the ability to combine with their band program to make what we would call a full orchestra, or in our case, our Philharmonic Orchestra. Tonight we are going to be performing music from the hit movie and musical Wicked, and we're going to have our guest conductor this evening, Mr. Mark Simmons.
thank you so much for supporting our students, and I would like to welcome back to the stage our orchestra director, Mr. Michael West.
It's okay. Okay. All right, it is time for the awards part of our concert. After the awards are finished, we are then going to invite our middle school 8th graders and a few 7th graders to come and join the orchestra on a final piece. So let's get through the awards first, and then we'll do a quick stage change. We're going to take a moment to honor many of our talented students that we have here at the high school. First, let's take a moment to recognize the members of the orchestra who have been in high school band and/or orchestra, Philharmonic, for the past 4 years. When I read your name, please stand and stay standing. Hold all your applause until all the names have been read. Okay. These are our 4-year members of band and orchestra at Richmond High School. Lucy Couch, Logan Brewer, Avery Vandervoort, Dylan Coates, Bailey Shin, Matthias Dunn, Madison Shipley, Evan Sanders, Yurixi Rojas Cruz, and Adeline Penrod. Let's give them a round of applause. We have a first this year. Since I've been teaching in Richmond for the last 6 years, one of our string orchestra students has earned enough of their Letterman points to receive a special plaque. This student has earned a total of 530 points over the course of the past 4 years, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize Mr. Evan Sanders. Yeah, right now. Hold it up so you can see it. No light. Give it up for Evan. All righty. The Richmond Music Boosters provides an award to a senior who has shown great musicianship in orchestra. This award is for musicianship in the orchestra, Philharmonic, and string orchestra. Not only has this musician performed on their instrument, they have performed on a variety of instruments throughout their time here. Not just an acoustic, but also an electrified version of their instrument. It is with great pride and honor that we recognize the Richmond Music Boosters Musicianship Award in Orchestra to Addie Penrod. Okay, the Richmond Music Boosters also offers another award to a senior who has shown great service to the orchestra. This is awarded to students who do things beyond the classroom and in addition to their duties in classroom, including running performances in multiple different settings and helping outside the school at various events such as performances throughout the town or when we go on trips. This person has always been willing to step up and take a leadership role in this program, and I will say that the violin section is better because of this person's leadership. Let's give this award to Mr. Evan Sanders. All right. Every year, the orchestra director, that's me, is able to choose a senior, one of them, who exemplifies what it means to be a dedicated and committed member to this orchestra. This comes in the form of being at multiple events throughout the year as both a student, performer, and as a leader. The student has been involved in numerous performances throughout their 4 years in orchestra and has achieved high ranks among their peers in orchestra. This award this year is going to go to none other than Yurixi Rojas. Next, we have the Virginia May Whitaker Award. This is, Virginia May was a student in orchestra back in 1975 and unfortunately was killed in a car accident. In her name, this award was created as a tribute to her and her dedication and outstanding service to the Richmond High School Orchestra. This is awarded to a 4-year member of the RHS Orchestra and to one who is outstanding in their service to orchestra and the community. This year's recipient of the Virginia May Whitaker Memorial Award goes to none other than Addie Penrod. You want another picture?
It looks the same.
It's different. It is. Thank you, Addie. In addition to being recognized, she is also, we have a plaque up on the wall, and her name will forever be remembered here at Richmond High School. So you can go into the orchestra room at any time and see her name up on the wall with the others. Congratulations. All right, 2 more, and we'll make some more music. Next is the Ralph Burkhart Award. Mr. Burkhart was a graduate of Richmond High School, class of 1945. I think that's when Mr. Merkamp was here, too. Anyway. He was a beloved orchestra director who taught here at Richmond for 45 years, retiring in 1997, and unfortunately passed away this past December 26th. This scholarship is given in his name to a senior who is planning on studying music at the collegiate level, whether that be as a minor or a major. To help them in their path through music, this student this year is going to receive a $600 scholarship toward their continued music education. Please give a round of applause to this year's Ralph Burkhart Scholarship recipient, Evan Sanders. If you happen to look at your program, the piece that we featured, Yurixi and Evan, was actually arranged by Evan Sanders. And our final award is the prestigious National School Orchestra Award. This is the counterpart to the John Philip Sousa Award for Band and is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a member of a high school orchestra. It is given to recognize excellence in playing and contributions to the ensemble. Beyond playing well, these students must exemplify what it means to be a leader and a positive community member through orchestra. To preserve the integrity of this orchestra award, schools are limited to 1 recipient per year. It is our pleasure to add to this prestigious group of recipients the 2024-2025 National Orchestra Award to Evan Sanders. All right, let's close out this evening. We have one final selection for you. This is a piece called Warrior Legacy, and a couple of special things about this one. Not only is this piece of music written by somebody who is still alive and composing, but this is written by Soon-Hee Newbold, who is a real-life police officer out in California. She also takes times to dedicate to playing music and writing music for school orchestras. And in this case, we're also going to invite our 8th graders up. So 8th graders, come on up. This has been a really fun piece of music to work up, and it's a privilege to get to work with each and every one of these students. My only regret is this is the last time I get to play with these seniors. So, give us one moment, we'll get the stage changed. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful summer.